Time is now 7:46 in the last hour. One of our biggest businesses, BT, has announced a steep fall in profits. We can have a look at more of that now. Sean's got some details for us.
Yeah, partly to do, they took over EE last year, but also we've heard this week a lot of problems within the business as well. Good morning, everybody. It's been a bit of a rough week for BT. So this morning, the business confirmed pre-tax profits at the end of last year fell more than a third, partly to do with that takeover of EE. And earlier this week, the company's share price dropped 20%. That's losing £8 billion of the worth of the company in a single day when they revealed details about an accounting scandal in Italy. And why is all this important? Well, it's worth remembering that this firm, once known as British Telecoms, is of course a huge global player, offering phone and internet services in over 180 countries. And because it was privatised here, it still has an estimated 1 million small shareholders as a result. So those share price plunges matter. If you have a private or company pension as well, it's almost certain your pension fund will hold its shares too. We can talk now to Dave Millett, who is the boss of the Telecoms consultancy Equinox. Also, Dave, you worked for BT for more than a decade. How much of a different business is it now than the BT you used to work for?
Well, I worked when it was still part of the civil service when I joined, and obviously it's been through privatisation, which, as you said, led to the million shareholders. What it means, though, is it's got a hell of a lot more competition. It didn't do TV when I worked there. Mobiles were just emerging. It's become a much more complex business.
So it's a more complex business, and we see today profits down, whichever sort of way you look at them. When you talk about, say, those 1 million shareholders who will have it, BT is quite an important company for our own incomes, particularly in retirement, isn't it?
Absolutely. Because they're on the FTSE 100, virtually every pension fund will have BT shares in them, so that value dropping 20% hurts them. The people that own shares, and again, they've seen that shareholding drop 20%, and it's not come back up in the last couple of days either.
Now, it's been a rough week. Is BT struggling or not?
Well, you have to still bear in mind they're still making £100 profit per second.
Every second.
Every second. Right. But the problem is their debts are mounting. They owe about 9 billion as a result of buying EE. We've got the review of the pension fund coming up this year, which will be about another 9 billion. And as you say, they lost £500 million this week. So they've got to find a lot of money.
They've got to find a lot of money.
Yeah.
Is one of the ways they might find more of that money to push prices up even further than they have done?
Well, yes, because they've already announced that they're going to keep raising dividends, and people might say, well, who are you looking after most when you've got to make up the shortfall in pensions? Yes, there's price rises due in April, which of course gives consumers and small businesses the option to leave. You have a right to leave within 30 days of being told of a price rise.
So price rises coming in. Is that because they need more money to cover all these costs, or is it because they want more money to reinvest into the business for things like football rights?
Well, football rights have been expensive, but we also noted that their actual number of new TV connections dropped. It's running about half the rate it was last year, so that's going to be potentially a problem. And certainly the investment, I mean, if you look at the various reports, the UK infrastructure is lagging most of Europe, hence why you can't get businesses can't get fibre broadband, so there's a lot of money that's needed there. So they've got to cut it from somewhere or raise prices.
And you talk about infrastructure. Of course, Openreach has been a big issue for BT as well, the infrastructure in the UK. How will changes in the way Openreach is run affect the business going forward? Will they have less money?
Well, the money for Openreach, though it's going to be a separate company, will still come from BT. In theory, Openreach will now decide more where it's invested. Historically, it's favoured the residential areas, which is where BT makes most of its money.
And just finally, all of these costs, the debt, the takeovers, the accounting scandals, do you think BT will be a stronger company over the coming year, or is it going to have some turbulent times?
I think it's, Mr. Patterson's got a very heavy in tray, but as I said, it's still very profitable.
Dave, thank you very much. So a tough week for BT, but they're doing all right overall.